Hey everybody, it's Craig Syracusa from Walk in Faith. I'm excited to be able to be speaking with my friend Eddie Luisi, the stage manager to the stars. You just wrapped up GMA, and I've been watching a lot of your videos. Like I said, I saw you eating the donut, and Michael Strahan bought donuts, and I've been following you on Facebook just to get some insight. So first of all, how are you doing? How's your morning so far? I know it's raining, but how are you doing?
I am doing well. I am blessed. I am happy because it's Friday and I'm going home.
My wife, the other day, she said, you got to do some more positive stories, right? Because, it's unfortunate. Every conversation you have, friends, family, it always leads to the pandemic. And you get in this rut. So she's like, you got to do some more positive stories. So I said, all right, let me think of my positive friends, Eddie Luigi and Jen Gotson, which I'm going to talk to Jen in a little while, which we're both friends. And I said, cool. You're the two most positive people out there. So
hello, Jen.
Yes. So I said, let me call Eddie. So Eddie, fill us with positivity. I know it's difficult. First of all, I just want to, you're in Times Square, which I've worked in Times Square. I actually worked in that building. So What is it like? I mean, I know it's raining, but despite the rain, what has it been like? Traffic, what is it? The people walking around, people, taking into consideration the pandemic. Tell me what it's been like in Times Square.
Okay, so you're on me right now. I'm sitting in the upstairs marquee studio, so I'm 6 feet from the window. So I'm going to kind of spin this camera around, and then you'll see outside Times Square. Basically, there's one person out there walking. Do you see that one person?
Yes, I do. One
person walking. There's just a couple of cars. There's always police cars that are kind of parked on different corners and stuff. It's pretty quiet. Now, I come into the city, what time? 4:45. So, there were times there were a lot of people hanging out from, because this is the crossroads of the world. So you see a lot of foreigners, a lot of people that had a little bit too much to drink, having a good time out in Times Square and good times. And a McDonald's down there. It's quiet as quiet can be now. Maybe there might be one person taking a photograph for memories, but it's very, very quiet.
And now we know it's raining out. Let's say it was sunny out, when you were leaving, whether it's, let's say today, would there be people in Times Square if it wasn't the pandemic? And if it was sunny and it was the pandemic, what has been your experience when you leave work?
Yeah, so I guess this has been going on for a couple months now. It's pretty much the way it is right now, sunny or not. Just a few people here and there. Now I chat with Michael Strahan because I work with him all the time, and he says on the weekends when it's sunny out, he says it's crazy. He says there's tons of people out walking and jogging and riding their bikes, and he said 50% have their mask on and 50% don't.
Wow.
So it's like, when you're close to each other, and even if you're what it's called asymptomatic, you don't have your symptoms, you could still be, giving out germs and disease and sickness to people. So he said it blows his mind that there are so many people out on the weekends.
Wow, that is. I interviewed somebody yesterday in North Carolina, and they said that they're still having tailgating parties. And I said, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, there's still, I guess, college campuses and colleges that are, 50, 60, 100 people." I can't comprehend that. I go out every day, go for my walk, which is really a meditation. I pray, but I'm by myself. I don't see anybody just walking around, but I don't understand. So now, how are you shooting this show? I mean, it's amazing how during a crisis, how you can really invent just different ways of doing something. Like I'm doing interviews on Zoom, which it works. I mean, I can do multiple interviews a day, but how are you shooting, GMA, since you're really not on location? I know you are, but how are you shooting this?
So right now, because it's gone through different stages, but right now, Michael Strahan, Amy Robach are the two anchors that are on set. So they're at our home base studio downstairs. We don't use the upstairs studio anymore. The two of them, and we have special marks that we put on the desk. It says 2PP, two people marks. So they're separated by more than 6 feet since it's just the two of them. Do you still see me?
Yep, still see you.
Okay, because my battery said low. So hopefully we get a good interview.
Oh, you're always good.
And we're down to 4 cameras in pre-coronavirus. We were a 14 camera show. We were upstairs, we were downstairs, we were outside, we were in green rooms, we were in dressing rooms. We're down to 4 cameras. we normally have 4 stage managers. We only have 2 stage managers, so we rotate 2 on and 2 off. So and the crew, we kind of rotate weekly also. So we're like an A team, a B team, or however you want to do it. So we all stick together, and then we all take a week off. So we're not cross contaminating each other or germs, because we're not testing, and the whole United States isn't testing that much. So nobody knows what we have, but we wear the masks. We're cleaning stuff all the time, and a lot of people have gloves on, and we're holding doorknobs with pieces of paper. So we're trying to stay as safe as possible. And then all the guests are remotes. So they're either with Skype or FaceTime or Zoom. And Robin, she's in her apartment. Lara's in her apartment. Ginger Z's in her house. And all the correspondents, they're either in their house or they're at different locations. But everybody has their mask on when they're outside and when they're in groups of large people.
I mean, just on a personal note, you're a hugger. I love to hug. You love to shake hands. How are you handling this? I mean, you're always hugging and shaking hands. What are you doing?
Italiano. I can't do it anymore. Yeah, you know what? I'm not doing it anymore. And I know, let's even talk about the future. Even when things calm down, I'm not going to shake hands. I'm not going to hug. I'm going to still, because, let's be intelligent, right? All the experts are saying we're not going to have, the needle, the injection for a year or so. Mm-hmm. So, and even when that happens, you don't know how it's going to react with certain people. Wow. So I'm thinking personally, for me, my family, my kids, coworkers, there's going to be a certain distance for a long, long time. Now, obviously, there are a lot of stupid, ignorant people out there that are gathering, going close, and they're opening up tattoo parlors and nail salons and haircuts. It's like, what are you guys doing? Makes no sense to me. Nothing at all.
A tattoo parlor too. I know it's in Georgia. So, it's interesting. And this isn't a great example, but I think about in the old days when, not that I really recall, but they used to smoke on airplanes, and you say, how could they ever think about that? And I think handshakes and hugs are going to become like, how did you ever shake hands? And how did you ever hug? And it's really bizarre. Like, our kids are going to think like they used to actually hug and shake hands. It's really, so, I'm doing interviews on Zoom, like I said, and we're actually obviously doing one now. When you see, say, a Lara doing an interview and they're remote, do you think this might be the future? Do you still see the emotional connection, or is it distance because, it's so flat?
I don't think it's going to be the future. I think eventually, when more and more testing comes out, more of our talent, more of our on-air talent is going to come back to the studio. I don't think we're going to have a studio audience upstairs for a while, because, you have 100, 200 people, and most of them are tourists from all over the place. So I don't think that's going to happen in the near future. But yeah, I think eventually a lot of our correspondents will start coming back, and but it's going to be a while, and I'm just grateful that I still have a job. We're considered in the news essential workers. So, thank God I have a job. But there are so many people out there, as you know, that are not working, that in small businesses have lost their businesses. So many people that are sick and dying, the workers. I said, because I do a lot of Zoom interviews too, and I'm not the host like you. A lot of people ask me to be on, and I do some spiritual sites, and I do a lot of schools and colleges and universities and some media stuff. And, I have a pretty cozy job. I work Good Morning America. I'm in this nice studio, it's either air conditioned or heat, and, and we're glass enclosed in. So I'm not like the people that are working in the hospitals that are really there. They're in the trenches. It's kind of like war, right? So we're reporting and we're safe. So I'm very, very, very grateful, and I know the real heroes. I'm not a hero by any chance. We're just here reporting and doing our job, but I'm very grateful, and I'm grateful to chit chat with you, because hopefully there's something that we say that might touch somebody's life.
Exactly. One person, that's it. There's no KPI and the Holy Spirit, but one person. Yeah. So you talk about being grateful. what are some of the things that sort of, I know during this time it's really changed my perspective on a lot, on really what's truly important and on time and my family, and just communicating with people on a daily basis, forgetting about the past if I had issues with certain people. What are some of the things you learned that you can share with us that sort of helped you during this time? Obviously your faith, but also that maybe has changed your perspective on certain things that you thought were important that aren't? Like, has anything changed throughout this period?
The one thing that I'm doing personally, on my desktop on my computer, every single day, if something good happens, there's a certain type of blessing, I have a Word document and I add it, and I'm up to 40, 50 different entries. And our interview is going to be on that. This is the blessing. You know what I'm saying? So there are different opportunities. There are different things that are happening. This weekend, my daughters want to cut my hair, and my one daughter wants to dye my beard blue. So I'm going to put that. That is a blessing, right? Because they're home, they're bored, and they want to have fun, and they do their TikToks and they do their videos. So there are different blessings that we're having in our life. And we've discussed this before. We could, as individuals, as a community, as a society, we could experience sometimes at the same time hell and heaven at the same time, right? Right now, with this pandemic and with disease and loss of job and death, people are seeing what they call hell. But then in the heaven, you are seeing the blessings, and you are seeing people, helping each other. You're seeing, less traffic, and you're seeing the environment getting better, and, the air, and less pollution. And a lot of people saying, they're spending less money and they're not doing takeout. They're having more meals at home. So there's good in everything. And I have a dear friend, Michael Gillen. I don't know if you know the name Michael Gillen.
I do know.
Michael Gillen was our science reporter at GMA for many years, and then he got promoted for all of ABC News. And he's doing these little 3-4 minute YouTube videos and wherever else he's sharing them. And he sent one to me this morning, and I sent it to the GMA producers because it was fabulous. And he was talking about how he was, science-wise, he was talking about all this heavy-duty science stuff, but he was saying there's always these opposites and extreme opposites. And even right now, like I said, there's hell and heaven, there's good, there's bad. And I try to stay positive. So even though stuff's going around me and there has been sickness and death with a coworker here and some friends in the spirit that I communicate on a regular basis, I'm seeing that also. But I'm always trying to send out positive messages, positive videos, positive reflections, because that's the type of person I am. I'd rather see the good than the bad.
I totally agree. It is like you can respond and react very differently during this time. And one thing too, and you mentioned about your kids are home and they're going to cut your hair. And I was telling my wife, I was like, you think about all the college kids that were, in a sense, they were asked to go home, they were forced to go home, however you want to put it. But the parents are getting that time that they would have never had, right, with their kids. They're having dinner together, they're playing games, they're doing arts and crafts. So that's the blessing in a sense. I know their bills are going up because they have to, obviously buy more food and they're stressed out. But they're having the time, that family time that was lost, that really doesn't exist. Like, we're not going out to dinner, we're cooking as a family, we're baking, we're getting to know one another on a different level because we're not preoccupied with watching sports or running here or going to the gym. It's back to the good old days in a sense. And I really love that. I think, my parents would say, oh, the good old days. And now I'm experiencing the good old days of just being a family unit. And I know you go to church every day, and unfortunately I can't go. And I know you mentioned that you're able to go and pray. Has your spirituality, has your faith helped you during this time? What have you leaned on, any passages or have you prayed to any saints? What have you been doing during this time?
Yeah, so we've discussed, because we've done an interview together in Walk in Faith, and you came here and I said at GMA, and I have a whole long ritual, but when I wake up, there's 4 or 5 different prayer books and reflections that I read. And when I come to work, there's more. I used to go on a daily basis to the St. Greg's Perpetual Eucharistic Chapel, but that's closed because most of the churches in the Archdiocese are closed and chapels are closed. But I still drive there, and I park right outside, and I put my arm out, and I say an Our Father, and I say a prayer. And then while I'm driving, I pray for my family, my friends in the spirit, friends in the universe. I pray for the neighbors. I pray when I'm driving different places. So I'm constantly praying. When I leave Good Morning America, I drive up to Rockland County. It's around an hour drive. And I'm blessed to have the Marian Shrine there. Exit 14 off the Palisades.
Wow.
And it's this wonderful shrine, church, retreat center. So their church is open up. Father Mike Pace is a dear friend, and he's the coordinator of the Marian Shrine, the church there. 7 days a week, not Mondays, 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. He keeps that church open. And if you're a Catholic watching and you believe Jesus is present in the Eucharist, he has the monstrance there. So wow. Jesus is present if you're a Catholic. And if you're not a Catholic, and you don't even have to be a Christian, you can still go in there and you can pray. And it's quiet, you know. The most I've ever seen was like 6 people there, and they all sit far apart, you know. But a lot of times there's nobody there, or 2 or 3 people. And then if you like statues, there's a lot of religious statues. You could walk the Stations of the Cross. You could walk the Rosary. There's a big Madonna statue there that was donated from Italy. And then they have woods. So my wife and I, sometimes my girls, sometimes by myself, but I'll do a daily walk. I set my timer for 33 minutes, Jesus's age, right? And I walk the woods. And even if you want, there's like a slat or whatever, an opening in the fence, and the high school is right back there, North Rockland High School, and the track's there. So there's a lot of people that walk the track or run the track. So sometimes I'll go the track, but most of the time I like to just stay in the woods. It's very meditative. Sometimes absolute quiet, and I just listen to nature. Sometimes I'll listen to a podcast. I have sometimes I'll listen to an app, and it's just like meditative music, and there's chimes and stuff. So I enjoy myself that way.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, like you said, you need to have a routine. I love the fact that you're going out every day. Do you think this time? I know for me, it's like I said, it's been more of an awakening on certain things, but it's definitely brought me closer to my faith. Do you think this time, whether it's you personally or other people, do you think that they're relying on their faith, or it's brought them closer to spirituality or faith during this time, or what do you think overall from the people you've spoken with?
So I think, you know, there's 2 sets of people. There's the sets of people that when bad things are happening, they'll get closer to their faith and they'll pray more. And then there are some people that will run away and get mad at God and run away from the feet. And why making this happen? I'm closer, you know, because I do have some more free time and I can go out into the woods now and I could pray. But my whole life, I'm 60 years old. I've never gotten mad at God. You know, I don't believe that God makes, you know, all these bad things and stuff. This is nature. This is what's happening. I was listening to an NBC podcast on the 11th hour of Brian Williams, and he had Michael Moore on, who's the great documentary guy. And then he was talking about a new documentary that he's the EP on, but he's not on air camera. But it's called Planet of the Humans, not Planet of the Apes, Planet of the Humans. So my wife and I yesterday watched it.
Oh, really?
And it's slower moving. It's not as fast paced and slick of a normal Michael Moore documentary, but it's very interesting. And I'm not going to say the whole thing, but
no, I want to watch it.
It talks about all this negative stuff that's been happening with the environment and green energy and all that. But the bottom line is we're overpopulated, and we're running out of our resources because we're cutting down forests and all that sort of stuff. And it's almost like this pandemic is happening. Unfortunately, people are dying, but life is slowing down. And you know, did God make this happen? I don't know. Is this just the earth and Mother Nature, and things are just happening because we have been overpopulated and over-consuming and over-abusing certain things? I don't know. But it's a very interesting thing what's going on. And like you said, this new norm, it's not going to go back to the same way. Like, you know, people not smoking anymore. And it's like, you can't remember that. And people might not be hugging anymore. Like, you know, it's going to be a very interesting future.
Well, Eddie, it's always a pleasure to speak with you. So one last thing before we go. If there's one thing you hope or you pray that people will walk away with after this experience, what would it be?
one thing, to respect each other, not to be so ignorant, right? During this whole pandemic and during this disease, be respectful for others, wear your mask, wash your hands, keep your distance. Don't just be a me person. If you could help others, if you know there's people elderly that are home alone and you could help them bring groceries, or you could, if you could just pray for people, but be less selfish and more selfless.
That's great. I actually spoke about that yesterday. I agree. And also too, this has shown us that we're all the same. You can't hide from it. Doesn't matter if you have faith, if you don't have faith, if you're rich, if you're an NBA player. I mean, it doesn't matter. We're all the same. We're all created in God's image. Eddie, be safe. Wear the mask. I will pray for you. I will continuously watch your videos. Enjoy the donuts. Say hello to Michael Strahan. Say hello to Lara. It's been a while. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Always remember, you have the ability to inspire and evangelize through words and actions. God bless, Eddie.
God bless. Thank you.